Has everybody had a chance to look at the previous meeting minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thanks. I want to jump ahead. Mr. Demolowitz has another meeting he's got to get to, and he asked that his item number 7, if we could take it first.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Demolowitz, we'd be happy to accommodate you. Go ahead.
Tonight I'm here to ask that we move the public hearing out, Resolution 294, on Local Law J. Local Law J, this would be an amendment to our pesticide notification law. I think Brian was, remember that, and Bob, and I don't know how long ago, we did it a few years back. We were first in the state, we did it before the state of New York did. What this does is modify it so that, for instance, you know, we passed a law that where you have to mark your lawns 24 hours after you spread the granular pesticide. Well, the problem is that if you go to one of the big box stores and buy your pesticides, there's no signs. So I learned this firsthand. And the commercial guys are doing it, they're marking them, but the retail guys aren't providing signs. So I happen to be at a Home Depot, and I asked them where they had the signs available so I can put up my lawn. And they said, no, we don't have them, you have to get them online. Well, you know, so this law will fix that. What this does is simply requires that the retailer at the point of purchase make available signs. And that's it in a nutshell.
And this is just to schedule a public hearing for it.
Public hearing.
Because we jumped ahead to number 7 because Gary has another place he's got to be.
Oh, sure, no problem.
So, motion?
I'm happy to make the motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Got to change the date to the August date. Okay, that's the only thing.
Okay. Oh, okay. Change the date to the August public hearing date. All right. Okay, go back to number 1, preventing the hiring of former county legislators and the family members of current and former county legislators by the County of Albany. Table request is sponsored. Number 2, amending the Albany County Legislative Rules of Order. I think, Mr. Jeffers, last meeting you said you were working with
I'm
Mr.
still
Ziggy in this.
trying to finalize something with Mr. Zigno.
Yeah, Mr. Mendick asked that this be tabled.
Number 2 is tabled. And number 3, authorizing 50% of real property taxes collected by the County of Albany on real property conveyed by the Albany County Land Bank Corporation be remitted to said entity. Maybe this is Mr. Higgin?
You can table this, but I'm gonna go to the audit and finance meeting on Wednesday to discuss it there.
Okay. Number 4, requiring all boards and commissions that are appointed by the county legislature to distribute meeting notices and agendas to the legislature. And the sponsor of this was Mr. Drake.
He'd like it tabled.
Table? Okay. Number 5, endorsing the criteria and procedures for determining assigned council eligibility promulgated by the New York State Office of Indigent Legal Services. And this was by Mr. Ward. Yeah.
This is basically to endorse the procedures with respect to 18B, there was some confusion last month, I believe, some people were talking about legal aid. This is strictly the 18B rules and regulations have been set up.
Legal aid's for civil stuff.
That's correct.
This is criminal.
This is criminal.
Okay, so it would apply to anybody who would be eligible for the public defender or alternate public defender or assignment of counsel.
Assigned counsel, yes.
Assigned counsel.
Yes.
I'll make a motion.
Motion?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, carried. All right, number 6, public hearing on proposed local law I for 2016. This is the local law that would authorize signing of a lease regarding Soldier On. As I understand it, this is necessary because of the length of the lease. It exceeds, what is it, 30 years?
I think 25 is what we have.
That trigger. Okay, so that triggers need for a local law. This would be a 50-year lease, is it?
50. That's what they're looking at.
Chris,
I
you
was just
have a
at-
question?
What's the lease for the Shaker site that's right next door?
It currently runs through 2035, I believe.
So that's a 20-year lease too?
No, it was a
I think
25-year lease.
That was a 25-year lease?
It was renewed in 2010.
Yeah, I remember that now. Okay.
And that was the maximum we could do without this type of...
We need to change the date on this too.
Yes, that one has to become August as well. I'm not sure the exact date, it was the fourth Tuesday, I believe. 2, 9, 6, probably the 23rd, maybe.
Why does it have to be so long? I mean, is that what they requested, or is that what the county executive is requesting?
Both. They both requested, the county executive was requested it, and it was requested by
Something
Secretary.
to do with their, when they.
Their funding as well,
grant
yes.
money, They need to have it all.
I assume we'd find out more about it at the public hearing. This is really just to schedule the public hearing. Brian?
No issue at all with the public hearing, obviously. I agree with I'd like to hear an answer as to the length of the lease, but I still have concerns about the fact that they aren't providing any services to female veterans. I'd much rather see a project labor agreement on this, and, given the help we're giving this organization, and rightly so, I think we can insist upon those things, and I hope we can consider that.
So you got some substantive concerns,
Yes.
but no concerns about scheduling the public hearing for August?
Couldn't have said it better, Mr. Chairman.
Was that a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Chris? Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we handled number 7. Number 8, public hearing on local law K for 2016. And Mr. Higgins, I think this is your local law.
Yep, and this is the public hearing notice that we attempted to have scheduled for tomorrow. It's a standalone resolution, so I ask you to pass it and have a public hearing in August.
Thank you. Can we find out exactly what the date in August is? 23rd? Okay, so the August 23rd. Okay. Any discussion concerns? Ms.
Just a brief discussion, I'm not a member of the committee, but I'm really confused, by this, because I think that the ultimate possibility of actually considering downsizing is something, especially the magnitude that's being proposed, that I don't think we can legally do based on the current legal decision from the federal court. So I guess if I were king, I would argue that after tomorrow's public hearing, we kind of back down until 2020, because it just doesn't seem reasonable that we can actually do what's proposed that we can possibly happen. Am I lost on this or what?
There can be no downsizing anyway until after the next census.
Right. Well, Brian and Chris, you both had your hands up. Chris, why don't you go first, because maybe this was
Sure,
addressed to you.
as far as the downsizing is concerned, there's 3 options.
Right.
There's
25, 29.
33, 29, Peter and Patty's proposal, and then there's this proposal, which is 25. I did ask the county attorney to look at this local law and the other local laws, specifically on the issue you raised about whether or not it would be in violation of Judge Kahn's order. And I did get an opinion back from today from the county attorney's office, and he says here, turning then to the initial question regarding whether the proposed local laws affecting the number of legislative districts would be contrary to the order of the United States District Court, Northern District of New York, the answer is no. So we can do this legally and not run afoul of the judge's court order.
Well, there is one thing to consider. The judge said that in his settlement, when he ordered the new districts, he did say that the percentage cannot be less than the current percentage,
So,
which means that you have to round up on each one. So if you get down, we went through this the other day, go through, on 25, you'll need to have 4 minority districts.
Correct.
And at 33, you're gonna still have to have 5.
Correct. I would note that if you were to drop down to 25, you have 4 majority minority districts, the percentage of representation for the African-American communities or those who are sitting in the majority minority districts would actually increase, I believe, to up to 17 or 18%. That number right now is currently around 12%. So you would actually see more representation from the 4 MMDs than you would under what we currently have here with the 5 MMDs.
But it also
That is,
presumes.
well, that's
At
assuming,
25.
that's assuming that there's actually enough minority population
Sure.
to really create 5
Well, there- that's
MMDs
the
in a
problem.
33-member legislature, because it was close at 39.
Sure.
But
Without belaboring the issue, I think what's being missed here is not so much a political consideration as actually a spatial temporal one. The actual location of the minorities in the 1 through 6 district is in less than a 10-mile radius. Right now, the new 6th district has less than 52%, majority black, and the Hispanic percentage, which I don't think is very robust in terms of actual voting turnout. I don't think, as a practical matter, and I think that this is something that, if you look at it carefully, can be validated, we can actually downsize by even as much as 1 district, and still, if you look at how gerrymandered our actual legislative districts are, I don't think as a practical geographic spatial issue, you have the concentration of minorities that's robust enough to actually expand to larger areas. And I think that we need to carefully look at that before we spend a lot of resources in something that inevitably could lead to further litigation of in excess of $1 million. So that's my position. I'm sticking to it, and to be continued.
Brian?
Just, I have concerns with downsizing also, but I see no bar about having a public hearing on it. We're having a public hearing on measures tomorrow night. I can see no reason not to have an additional public hearing on this too.
Okay, anybody else?
I just had a quick question. I'm going to ask the same question for both of the downsizing sponsors. Chris, would you be open to, instead of legislative districts, that all of the legislators run countywide?
What do you mean countywide?
That we want
At large?
At large.
I don't know if legally we can do that under the GML, under state law.
Well, over in
Because
Rensselaer County, they run at large in various cities and towns.
Well, just in the city, but the city within the county.
But then they also have towns that they
Different.
wind up running at large in for, towns that are adjacent to one another, so one person could wind up having 3 or 4 towns that they run at large in.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious if you.
I mean, we can ask the county attorney about that, but that gets very, very complicated because you do run into some of the voting rights issues that Merton is discussing right there. When you formulate the districts in that manner, I know there's been litigation downstate where you have villages where that's occurred, that's disproportionately affected minority communities, so.
Mr. Bergdorf?
I was just going to mention that from my prior life that I was in, where I worked in the Senate and worked for a senator from Long Island. Nassau County had to create a county legislature because they found that a board of supervisors could not adequately represent minority districts, that there wasn't a way to draw them at large so that you could have minority representation under the Voting Rights Act. So they actually had to go from larger districts, which were encompassing in 3 towns and 2 cities, to an 18-member county legislature, which there was a minimum amount of majority minority districts.
I'm just kind of curious on Schenectady. I believe they run at large. Rensselaer County, they have at-large seats. Erie County, some of the larger metropolitan areas where they have at-large, or not to say at-large seats, but their seats are vast in numbers. Didn't know, not to say that to skate the issue, but as a way to wind up thinking about something outside the box that we could conceivably do.
It's an interesting concept. I mean, it would require a charter change as well.
you have to do a charter change.
Yeah.
So you'd be voting when everybody goes to vote for the charter changes, it would also be the areas on which everybody would have to technically represent. Seeing as when we vote, it does reflect everything
I don't know.
countywide.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's legal, if it can be done, but certainly we can ask the county attorney to look into it.
Mr. Higgins, can we get a copy of the county attorney's?
It was emailed to you this afternoon,
What time? Was it my off?
4:30.
What?
4:30?
Oh, wow. I was getting ready for the meeting at 5 o'clock.
Sure.
That was good timing.
Okay.
Can't speak for his office.
I know,
I just
I know,
know you were on
wasn't-
email.
I got the last time he did, I got it at the same time.
Yeah.
Well, this is just to schedule the public.
Correct.
Yes.
Right, so, Brian, did you make a motion, or?
I would make a motion.
Okay, motion, is there a second? Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And then 9 through 14 are all our various local laws. And I think every one of these has to go to a public hearing, right? So we'd have to table all of these pending their public hearings. I don't know if we want to take them one at a time, or if somebody wants to make a motion to table 9 through 14.
I make a motion.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, 9 through 14, all tabled pending the public hearings. 15, authorizing agreements regarding Albany County insurance coverage.
Some other clarification.
Do you want to explain this before we handle this next thing?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, just going back for a second.
Mr. Kraus had contacted me earlier today, actually last week, and discussed some clarifications he wanted to make on local law H. They weren't, in my opinion, very significant. They were more minor language changes, but
You want me to pass it on down?
just keep passing them down.
And this is incorporated in the local law that's,
It will be incorporated in the local law, yes. It's not currently, because they just arrived.
but in advance of the public hearing tomorrow, this will be.
This can be passed out separately. I don't know that it should be changed, what we're putting out that was already approved to go out. This can be an additional addendum if the committee so wishes to go with public hearing tomorrow night and be available. But I don't believe it should be changed because the notice was given on a certain other document.
Do you know what precipitated the changes?
No.
Peter Kraus felt that it needed to be clarified, the executive's role in some of his powers. It was a little bit murky, so he just wanted to, and I believe the county executive was concerned about too, so just to clarify that.
My understanding, the one in particular on the 30 days was
Right.
just an error that was dropped when it was transposed. It's always been in there. It's nothing new.
No, it's not.
Neither of them are anything new. They're just things that may have been dropped along the way. I think that's what he,
It was dropped by the commission?
no, they were
Dropped by
dropped.
working with,
Oh, okay.
yeah, when you guys were working on it.
Okay, so this is putting them back to what
Yes.
it was understood they would be?
Yes.
Which was what was recommended by the commission in these instances? Okay. All right. So that's just for information for this evening. All right, we'll head back to 15.
Actually, you might want to vote that the changes are okay so that tomorrow night, when at the hearing, they can be passed out, even though the document itself cannot be changed.
All right. Do you, now you worked with Peter on these, so could
I
you
helped.
explain them?
Yeah, basically, one says, he left out 30 days for the county executive on local laws.
For a veto?
For a veto. That has always been the way, and it has to be that way, because there's no way with 10 days there could be an appropriate public hearing by the county executive or anything. The second one is language that was always in charter. The budget gets approved for the legislature by the county executive, and the county executive's budget is approved by the legislature.
Okay. So this is just language that was inadvertently dropped, and is proposed to be added back in.
That's correct.
So we should do what with this tonight?
You should vote that the committee approves it being corrected to reflect these changes.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay.
There may be some other things that would have to, but there'd be typos, and I hope every typo doesn't come back to, unless it's significant.
Mrs. Condon, how are you?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. How are you? This is the request for the renewal of the county's liability and medical malpractice insurance. It's an annual renewal. The county's broker, Arthur J. Gallagher, took the insurance out to market, went to various carriers, and sought quotes and renewal quotes for the county's insurance, which renews August 15th. The renewal quotes are all flat compared to last year, with the exception, and with the same carriers, with the exception of the medical malpractice. That is up from last year, primarily due to there's an increase in claims at the nursing home. We've gone from 0 claims in 2 years to 5 claims this year. That's resulted in an increase in premium. In addition, as care to residents has increased, there are higher risk residents there and a higher level of care being provided to residents. So the underwriters have increased the premium. Due to no faults on the nursing home, they're providing better care and greater services to our residents, and unfortunately, our premiums are going up. On a good note, however, the carrier gave us a 20% dividend on the premium this year, so that's offsetting the premium increase. The increase is only about $14,000 when you take the dividend off. Otherwise, everything else is flat or slightly decreased from last year.
Anybody have any questions? Motion?
Make a motion.
Second? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thanks.
Thank you.
Number 16, authorizing the submission of a grant application and an agreement to the New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services regarding domestic violence services and primary prevention education programs, and amending the 2016 Crime Victims and Sexual Violence Center budget.
Good evening. Thank you so much. Senator Amador called me and followed up with a letter granting crime victims a $10,000 award to provide domestic violence services, which we're happy to do for the county. So this will just allow me to accept that award. I was able to request the grantor with whom I could work, and I asked for it to be DCJS because I find them very easy to work with. I'm hopeful that they will allow that. But it's $10,000, which is lovely. I'm not increasing my budget in any way. This is just work that we do, and I can be offset in county share.
Okay, anybody have any questions? Motion?
Motion.
Second it.
All
Do
in
you have a
favor?
question?
Aye.
Oh, okay.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Okay, and the last item on the agenda, authorizing agreements with the Albany Police Department and Schenectady County District Attorney's Office regarding the trauma response team and Project Safe Neighborhoods.
Okay, thank you so much. This is a continuation of the New York State Division of Criminal Justice's GIVE grant. This is year 2, so it is the same as last year. We partner with APD and Lisa Good of Urban Grief to provide trauma response services to Albany City residents who are the victims of shootings and stabbings. And it addresses both the individual victim and their family, as well as the community, because really looking at how violence is affecting our communities. Additionally, the Schenectady County DA and Albany Police Department do forums with returning citizens and it's a conversation around how to remain a supportive, constructive part of the community and not be re-incarcerated. So it's a lot of wonderful work with partnerships that go around supporting those individuals as they reintegrate back into our communities and helping them be successful.
Any questions?
Is this just primarily for the city of Albany, or is this available to other municipalities in the county as well?
It's paid for, that particular one in Albany County is paid for through a special fund through the Albany Police Department, so I imagine that may be just the city, but I think if other localities would be interested, we could probably come to some kind of an arrangement. We're a pass-through for the provider, and we certainly believe all of our citizens deserve support and any kind of assistance that they need to be successfully reintegrated.
Patty, you have a question?
Yes. Hi, Karen. Do you have any kind of success? I know this is second year. Do you have any kind of outcomes from the first year that you can report to us?
That data is actually given directly to the Schenectady or Albany Police Department, Schenectady
Okay.
DA's office. I'm happy to get that for you.
Yeah.
I think we do actually have a pretty good, our numbers are pretty good in terms of recidivism, and that it's actually declined. So I'd be happy to provide that to
And just
you.
how many families and victims are being served for
Absolutely,
that?
absolutely.
Great, thanks.
Sure. Patty, you want that directly, or would the entire legislature like to see that? I'm happy.
It's okay with me if you want to send it to the chair and he can distribute it to everybody.
Okay,
I
I'd be
don't-
happy to.
I'm sure other people want to know too.
Sure.
Maybe not.
Ryan, did you have a question?
Nope, I'm ready to make a
Ralph, did you?
So moved or second, will depend on my colleague.
It's a motion and a second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Thank you
Motion
very
to
much.
adjourn?
Thank you.
All the hands go up on that.